Good morning, second grade readers. Mr. Hagan here. Hope you had a great weekend. Today, I want to teach you about how you as a reader can think about why a poet might have written a poem. And this is going to take you mixing your background knowledge with clues from poems to make an educated guess, and that's called an inference. So today you're going to get a chance to do some what adults call inferential thinking or non-literal thinking. And this just means that you can't prove it. So today is a great day to take a risk as a reader and a thinker and share your thinking, because no matter what you think, you can't be wrong. All right, enjoy. Here's a quick overview of today's lesson. You've heard the introduction. I'm going through the overview now. In the mini lesson, I'll share 3 examples. Then I'll share some poetry book suggestions with you and end with how to complete the activity after the lesson. Here's my favorite poem called Ketchup from the book Pizza and Other Stinky Poems. And I'll read it to you really quick. When you tip the ketchup bottle, first will come a little, then a lottle. So I'm wondering, why would the author write this? And I'm thinking that probably my inference is that this has happened to the author, and the author really doesn't like it when this happens and wants to share this experience with other people in hopes of connecting with them. Maybe other people will say, oh yeah, that's happened to me. This poem's called Regenerate from the book Ocean Soup, Tide Pool Poems. In the tide pool where I dwell, 5 arms grasp a mussel shell. A crab comes snip, there goes my arm. Rude, yes, but I'm not alarmed. There won't be need to operate, since starfish arms regenerate. So I'm wondering, well, why would the author write this poem? Well, first, I know that Ocean Soup is a book full of poems that are about tide pools, so maybe this is something the author really loves and wants to share with other people. I'm also seeing this caption down here educating us about starfish. So I think the author wrote this because he or she is fascinated with starfish and wants to share their wonderment and amazement with readers, or also maybe to educate readers about what amazing creatures they are. This poem's called My Brother's Shoe from the book Underneath My Bed, List Poems. It isn't some milk that's been spilled in the car. It isn't a 3-day-old diaper or an overripe basket of cheeses or fruits that every few minutes smells riper. This isn't the egg that was hidden for Easter and found when Thanksgiving was through. No, this is the smell that can only be found wafting out of my big brother's shoe. So this poem's kind of silly. Why would the author write this poem? Well, maybe the smell from this author's brother's shoe is the most disgusting thing that this author has ever smelled. So maybe this poem is to teach other people that, or maybe this poem is to give you an idea about how disgusting it actually is by giving all these comparisons. Where can you find some interesting poems? I think week before last you did this. Go to Epic Books and in the search bar just type in the word poems, and then there'll be a bunch of books that pop up. Scroll down. You can scroll down quite a bit, and there's a bunch of different books. Okay, here's some poetry books Mr. Hagan suggests. I think these are full of some very interesting poems. This is the Ralph Fletcher book, A Writing Kind of Day. Can I Touch Your Hair? This would be maybe a more challenging poetry book. Ode to Commode. This is a concrete poem book, and concrete poems are poems that are written in the shape of the subject, like the one I just read about, The Brother's Shoe. Underneath My Bed, I shared a poem from this book. These are all list poems. Pizza and Other Stinky Poems. It's very interesting. A Treasure of Poems for Children is another book, and then Ocean Soup. You don't have to use one of these books, but these are some suggestions I have of books that are full of poems you might find interesting or enjoy reading. But there's plenty of different poetry books you can choose. If you have poetry books not on Epic, feel free to use those. or if you have real poetry books at home. When you're done choosing a poem, go to the Seesaw activity called Why Might the Poet Have Decided to Write This? Take a screenshot of your poem from Epic Books, and then if you have a stylus, just write next to it. You can shrink the poem, but make sure that we can see it. Or if you can't fit the poem and you're writing on one page, create another page down here using the plus button. Do not write with your finger. It's really hard for us to read. So only write if you have a stylus. If you don't, you could use the text tool, the T here, and you could type it, or you could just record your voice. Remember, you want to start your response off with this phrase. The poet decided to write this poem because he or she. Enjoy, second graders.